Today, we're going to be talking about building a $1 billion brand through trusting yourself and radical authenticity. And I'm so excited to have Kim Wileman, who's here with me today to share her direct experience of building this brand and how she's doing it. So, Kim, thank you for being here. And I'd love for you to begin by just sharing a bit about who you are and what you are up to in the world.
First, Tracy, I'm so happy to be here. You know how much I love you.
Mhm.
And it's just been such a joy and honor to work with you and to connect with you on so many different levels. We met a couple of years ago and we just connected right away. And we've been in touch ever since. And I'm so happy to be here to talk to you about what I've been doing. In my background, I have been in the beauty industry for a really long time. I started off in fashion, I moved into beauty, and consciously, at some point in my career, I decided I was going to do everything in beauty that I can. I was a merchant for duty-free shops. I was a store manager for Barney's New York. I was in business development. I was an executive CMO. I was a head of sales. I did operations, literally touched every aspect. And at some point, there was an aha moment and I decided, okay, I'm going to take this knowledge and I'm going to start my own company so that I could advise other beauty brands
Mhm.
and come to them with a point of reference. Basically, like I've done this is what works, this is what doesn't work, and really give people, share my experience with people so that they could grow their brands. And that company was Gala Beauty. It is a successful company. And I had the privilege of working with many brands, developing many award-winning products, and hopefully touching many women's lives through the power of beauty.
Yeah. But now you've taken all of that, as it always works that way, right? All of our experience leads us to the pinnacle, I would say, of what we're focused on doing and here to do. Will you share a little bit more about where you are now and what you're doing?
Absolutely. And I am one of those people who does not believe necessarily in luck, but I do believe in connection with people. And right now, currently, I have a couple of companies, but the company that I am most focused on and excited about, I'm co-founder and CEO for No Makeup. And my partner is Victoria Jackson. Victoria Jackson is, we we can call her the birth mother of no makeup trend. I ran her company for many years. I've worked with her for over 20 years. And she came to me a couple of years ago and just said, I am not finished in beauty. And what do you think? You and me partners, 50-50 partners. And she had always had Victoria Jackson Cosmetics. And we ended up shuttering the brand because her daughter was diagnosed with a rare disease.
Mm.
And I want to say we fully shuttered it in about 2015. She came to me in 2021 and said, I'm not finished. I want to do this. I feel like I need to like represent. And I had already, thousands of women had reached out to me because they missed her duo foundations. So we said, okay, what if we just launched a foundation, but it had to be modernized. It had to like step in. It couldn't be the same formula from the 1980s. It had to be cruelty-free, leaping bunny, free from hormone disruption, like all of the freeze. And it had to have a new texture. And what does that look like? It took about 2 years to develop what this product was, and when we finally got it right, it it is, and this really sincerely, I have developed so many award-winning products. I'm telling you, this is the best thing I've ever developed.
Mm.
The formula is incredible. It's everything, every pain point we as women deal with foundations. It lasts long. You don't have to wear primer. you have to have moisturized skin, but you don't need a primer. It matches your skin perfectly. There's not a million shades to choose from. It's got something called flex shade technology, so it blends in your skin. It doesn't feel like makeup on your skin. Your pores aren't, and fine lines and wrinkles aren't accentuated. We really took all of the pain points that women have. I have, you have, everybody has about makeup. That feeling of, oh my God, the moment I get home from work, I need to wash my face because it feels like I've got makeup on. It just feels like I have the day on. You don't feel that way with this product. And we ended up creating a brush, and it's right now it's one SKU. And what's happened is the simplicity of it has really resonated with people.
Mm.
And to be fair, we're not selling beauty. We're not telling people you need to mask up. You need to put this. It's not that story at all. What was important to us is always about women first. Less is more so you can show up as you. So you don't need all of those layers. You don't need to mask up. And I have to say, even for me, because I love makeup, I always have, even for me, like stripping things back to show up as yourself, this has taken me many years. I'm in my mid 50s. And to get here at this point and feel that message deep in my soul and know that other people feel it, like, why can't I show up as myself? Why can't Who says that you have to be young and perfect skin to be beautiful? That's just not even realistic. I personally believe that everybody has something physically that looks beautiful, that is beautiful on them. Everybody. You can find beauty in everybody physically. But really, what's beautiful is what's in the inside and like how you show up for people, that compassion, how you connect with people, how you make people feel. That's what beauty really is. So I think that's what we are doing. I shouldn't say I think. I know that's what we are doing with this brand and how it is evolving, and it's evolving really quickly. Just that outpouring of people saying, and yeah, when I first got this product, I thought, okay, this is interesting. We just had a testimonial. And then I received it and I was like, wow, everything they're saying is the truth about this product. And that was meaningful to me because being in marketing, being in product development, you always pull the nuggets that you believe customers will feel. And what's essential now for brands, and if they don't get this, they're not going to have the success, is you're you have to stand behind your product.
Mhm.
You have to breathe it. Also, if you're not using your product, which is part of the problem with some celebrity brands, if you are not inherently using your product, the customer will feel that.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. What I hear you saying, and since I do know you and we've worked together, so I have a little bit of an insider view. When I met you, we talked about that you just knew, right? We could call that intuition, we could call that a knowing, but you knew that you wanted to redefine beauty. And w- you are doing this through your products, but I think what you haven't talked about is you are also doing that through your own leadership as the co-founder and CEO.
Yes,
Would you agree with that?
100%. And I have to say, this opportunity with Victoria, when we first met over 20 years ago, I interviewed to be her vice president of marketing for a brand called Lola Cosmetics. And I should actually take a step further on how things sometimes are just
Hmm.
preordained as
Mm.
relationships. I remember distinctly in probably the mid 1990s, I lived in Hawaii and I had just given birth to my daughter. And I was watching E Entertainment or Access Hollywood or whatever extra, whatever it was at that time. And Victoria Jackson was being interviewed. And I felt electricity. And I thought to myself, like, here she was being interviewed in her home. And at the time, it was in Encino, California, which subsequently became our offices for Lola Cosmetics 10 years after that time. And I got this feeling, and I said aloud, I wonder if I'm going to know her.
Mhm. Yeah.
How incredible is that, right?
Yeah. And I think, Kim, what I find is there's this tension. I call it the paradox. There's this tension between running a business
Yeah.
and what's required to run a business, and then our radical authenticity and our knowing and our intuitive intelligence and energy and frequency. And we often compartmentalize those things.
Yeah.
And what you're saying and where I think your not only this, but where your true success now has landed you and where it's taking you is that you've truly integrated these two things. They're not separate.
100%. And when I met Victoria, she hired me on the spot. I think it was 23 minutes into. That's how strong this connection was, and it is today. Like, there is a there are just some people in your life that you get that connection, and we all know this because if you have a partner, you understand what I'm saying. And she's just my business partner. My partner is my husband. Or when you have children, like, you just know. And I have always, and this sincerely, relied on my intuition to lead and guide me.
Mhm,
I always done that. I've always felt this internal voice of, you should look at this, you should do that. It's time to step away.
mhm,
And when you get that internal voice that tells you something like it's time to step away, sometimes that's a very difficult thing to do, especially when you're working and it's in business and you're earning income from that.
mhm.
And I can tell you, every time I didn't listen to that, something has blown up. But every time I have listened to it, you step into something better.
Yeah.
And No Makeup Makeup is that exact scenario
Mhm,
for me,
mhm.
because when we first went into this, it's okay. We're doing this, but we're are we doing this or are we doing this?
Mhm,
And we really leaned in, and this company in a very short period of time is gaining incredible traction. We can definitely see I've got people from all over saying, "Can I invest? Can I invest? Can I invest?" And we're saying no to everybody because we don't need the financial investment at this point in time. That we are being very intentional on everything we do, all of our messaging, and the messaging isn't convoluted. It isn't this grand made up story. It's consistent.
mhm,
It's less is best.
mhm.
Show up as yourself, be authentic. We want to give confidence. We want to talk about confidence. We are for every woman. This is not about this is not about masking yourself, because you are enough.
Mhm, mhm.
And I really feel very settled in that. Like,
Yeah.
that this simplicity, the things that I've learned is simplicity is a beautiful thing.
Yes, isn't it?
Yes,
It really is.
and it doesn't have to be this, like, long drawn out thing. Sometimes when the message is simple, it's just, yes, that is so true. Of of course it's that simple.
Mhm. Yeah, and it's the power of simplicity, right? It's the power of to me, simplicity is also tied into authenticity, right?
Mm,
Because it's stripping away the unnecessary things that we all believe are required to grow a business, to market a product, to create success. And we've all just bought into these beliefs truly when it's not actually true. And I think l- you've learned it, you are continuing to learn it. But I would you share a little bit about how you lead, because there's a lot of conversations, out there, narratives about leading from the heart and servant leadership and those all types of leadership models. But I'd love to hear how you are leading your
This is
company.
a really important conversation.
Mhm.
So I have the core of my team, I would say it's between 26 and 35 years old, the core of my team. My executive leadership, it has more experience. And I was just having this conversation. One of my strategic partners is a growth marketing agency, and they're phenomenal. And they're young people, 26. The founder of this company is 39. He looks 30 and tons of energy. And we had this incredible conversation because we always do. And he said, Kim, I just want you to know that just having a good brand and having experience is not the key to having success.
Mhm.
And he mentioned he has a product with a really well-known group of people on something that should be an easy sale. He said it should be easy. We do the growth marketing, we do the paid ads. They're experts in this field. They partnered up with this company that is an expert in direct response. Like all of it is there,
What's not
but
there?
it's not there. And it's not there because the intention of making this the focus
Mhm.
is not there because the hands are outward. I personally had to learn this lesson.
Mm.
Instead of focusing outward, I had to focus inward
Mhm.
and focus. And no makeup is that focus.
Mhm.
But in terms of management with my team, first and foremost, you have to understand what you can and cannot do, your strengths and your weaknesses.
Mhm.
I personally believe that you have to hire experts.
Mhm.
You now, I have the luxury of having a partner who financed this business, which is amazing. But we leaned in, and this goes to having great relationships on reaching out to people who could get you to where you needed to be. And that meant I hired the right president who was a growth marketer, who inherently knew how to pull the levers and uh, get the messaging to the right audience. I hired a growth marketing agency to visually help execute that strategy. And they're a genius group of young people, genius. And I've actually changed my entire perspective on leadership
Mhm.
and strategy and where it needs to come from.
Mhm.
And I think one of our personal advantages is that we've tapped into this agency of young people who are connected socially and digitally. They're digitally native. As a Gen Xer, we're not digitally native, but we've had to teach ourselves. I think I've taught myself really well.
Yeah.
I also have heard recently that there's all this conversation back to office. It's the only way you can have success. And I'd like to challenge that.
Mm.
I because my team is largely made up of Gen Zers who are digitally native, on a digitally native, they want to be connected, but they want to be connected in the way they want to be connected.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
And they don't want to have meeting after meeting. They think having a conversation is texting.
Right. Yeah.
That is, I'm talking to them. It's not like Tracy, the way you and I talk to each other. We're talking on the phone, we're talking via Zoom. They're talking to each other via text,
Yeah. Yeah.
via Slack, via all of those things.
Sure.
So one of the things that I've learned is you've got to meet people where they're at and where they're going to excel.
Mhm.
So once a quarter, we have a huge in-person team meeting where everybody flies in
Mhm.
and we have a creative session.
Mm.
Everybody brings their best to that meeting. So collaboratively, this creates success in a much more meaningful way because we don't have the grind of 8 meetings per day and then everybody has to go home to do the real work.
Yeah.
That's not happening here.
Don't you think that sorry to interrupt you, but don't you think that is also partly due to the rapid success that you've had because you're
Yeah.
not in internal meetings all day and they actually everyone can focus on what they need to do and rather than being in all these meetings?
Yes, and I have to say meetings have a place
Sure.
for sure. As an executive, as a founder of a brand, Victoria and I and Shauna are meeting all the time. We meet in person all the time. We travel together. We have like intense periods of time where we're all together strategizing. It is a nonstop cycle that's
Mhm.
happening, and that needs to happen. Also, on the other end, because they're young people, they're meeting in person,
Mhm.
strategizing. And when I tell you the passion from this young group of people, including young straight men on no makeup, you've never seen anything like it.
Yeah.
They are passionate about this business because they are seeing the success, they are seeing the fruits of their labor. And also, I have to say, I'm really respectful, and I'm gonna give myself this to everybody.
Mhm.
I don't think, "Oh, you're young, you don't have the experience."
Mhm.
I think to myself, something I don't know, I'm going to share my experience on how to manage other people,
Mhm.
take a critical eye to look at an email campaign, talk to you about messaging because we've got a specific customer. Those are the gifts that I can share with you. The gifts that you as a Gen Zer can share with me
Mhm.
is this digitally native. I'm boots on the ground with the customer. I'm seeing what the conversation is within social media, and I'm sharing that with you. And it is very collaborative. And I would say the other thing that I'm doing, we've made one of the best things about Victoria, who is who's an incredible person, has she's lived literally 10 lifetimes in her lifetime. We don't sit in a decision and think, "Oh, we should wait. Oh, this isn't working out." We don't do that. If it's not working out, we move on. We accept the mistake. We accept the whatever we're like. We had a PR agency that frankly was terrible and just didn't get it. And we disengaged from them. I reached out to a really good friend of mine and said, "Who do you know?" He ends up introducing me to our current PR agency, Trachtenberg, who they specialize in founder stories and
Mhm.
then brands, and it has made all the difference in the world. And because it's made that difference, these are going to be like lifelong friends. They're going because they get the brand. They're articulate. They have a good mix of Gen Xers, millennials, and Gen Zers. So you're just getting all of that intelligence in one space. So it's just like making those decisions. This relationship isn't working. We've got to move on.
Yeah, and I hear also what you're saying through all of this is that, yes, you obviously built your team with, the proper who had the proper skill set, right? And you looked at all of that, which of course businesses, they do, right? That's what they focus on. But what you've done differently is actually everybody that's on board is also on board with the mission,
100. Oh my gosh. Thank you for articulating that.
right?
Yes, if they do not believe in the product or the mission, we simply cannot have them as part of our team because it isn't right for them. And this is not a slam on anybody, but if this is actually a lesson for all of us.
Mhm.
If you don't believe in something with your heart of hearts and your gut, you've got to move on because there is something out there for you that resonates with your values. And if it's not my company, it's somebody else's company. And ultimately, I want you to be satisfied within your life because when you're satisfied, then greatness comes from that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's the truth.
It is the truth. And you've when did you guys launch? Will you remind me? I know it was the summer,
July
right?
7th, July 30th, we just made our 7-month anniversary.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, it's pretty incredible.
Yeah. You've been doing really well. I know you've had $1 million launches and much bigger and other things. Yeah. And it's a testament, Kim, to how you're leading and actually how you're approaching building this company. And I think this is really a perfect example of trusting yourself. Not only trusting, but you had mentioned it. A lot of people will hear or get the nudge, but they don't follow through. They don't take the action because they're afraid.
Right.
And it's not just about receiving the nudge, it's about acting on the nudge, right? That's where the magic happens, where you take the action. And you've done that, and you've done that through your own authenticity and really caring about your team in a way that, of course, they want to perform because they're having a great, beautiful time. Thank you for being
And
that
they
example.
are. And I have to tell you, I appreciate them. I appreciate what they bring. I'll give this example too. Early on, we have this young woman who is part of our TikTok team. We've got several TikTok members, but she's part of the growth team. So she's under our media agency. And we were looking at TikTok and it wasn't quite doing what we wanted. So I started off, we were in a meeting and I started saying, okay, I, I do a SWOT usually every quarter just to pressure test where I'm at, like what's working, what isn't, kind of thing. And I started going through this and I could see her, she's 28 years old. I could see her getting upset
Mm,
because I think she thought I could read her, that she was thinking to herself, I'm working so hard and she's blaming me for this not working. And I immediately called it out and I said, oh, Casey, I can see what's happening here. And I want you to know I am sharing this because I know what the problem is. We have not given you the tools to be successful.
mm,
TikTok, the reason why it's not working is because there's not a personality attached. There's no, when you go onto our account, it looks like an ad.
mm, mm,
And TikTok's not about an ad.
mhm.
TikTok is about connecting with an audience authentically.
Yeah.
I want you to know that. And I could see the relief. And because I was willing to say that in front of 12, 13 people, it was like everything went away. And that was a pivotal moment for the team to understand that they could have a voice and that I recognized my the company's responsibility and why we weren't moving forward.
Mhm, mhm,
Now we have traction in TikTok
mhm.
because we rectified the issue.
Yeah. Yeah. And you also really saw your team, right? You saw them truly. And this is how it works. This is how you create not only a $1 billion brand, but you really create a well oiled machine that is organically successful. It's like it cannot be, right? There's just no way it cannot be when
This
you
it
are
it cannot
integrating,
be.
right? Yeah.
It cannot be, but it has to come from your intention
Yeah.
and your heart, and everybody has it. Victoria has it, I have it, Shauna has it. Like we have deep conversations about the customer, deep. Like how is she feeling? What does she think? We've got names for her, all of these things. But that customer essentially is us. Like, how do we want to be talked to? We have this, we're in the process of shooting a spot
Mhm.
and we hired an infomercial expert. And very clearly, it became very clear to me, we can't talk down to this customer. She
Mhm.
doesn't want to be told that there's 3 easy payments of $15. Nobody cares about that.
Mhm.
Nobody cares. Nobody wants to be sold to in that manner.
Mhm.
Nobody.
Mhm.
This customer is smart. She's evolved. She wants you to address her pain points, and she wants you to tell her the truth about your product. And she wants to know that if she buys your product and it doesn't work out for her, that she can return it.
Mhm.
I mean, it's really simple, basic values of people
Yeah.
and respect for people.
Yeah. 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 Business is definitely shifting and changing and at a very rapid pace. And you are certainly leading the way. And it's showing with all that you've accomplished in such a short time with you and your team. So thank you for sharing all of this today with me, with other founders and CEOs who are building their business. And it was so great to be with you.
Thank you. I was so happy to be here.